Today, Bitcoin hangs on to the $64,000 level. Consensus says the SEC has closed its investigation into Ethereum and won't pursue enforcement action against the company. And we take a look at the growing influence of crypto super PACs in Washington. Crypto prices are pretty flat, with Bitcoin holding on to the $64,000 level as of noon Eastern. At the same time, Ether dropped more than 0.5% to $3,500, and Uniswap fell more than 0.5% to under $10. And more investors are getting the chance to trade the price of Bitcoin directly. A spot ETF launched on Australia's main stock market for the first time today. The VanEck Bitcoin ETF launched with around $660 million in assets on the Australian Securities Exchange after more than 3 years of negotiations with the operator. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. India's financial regulator just handed Binance a multi-million-dollar penalty. The country's Financial Intelligence Unit, or FIU, ordered the crypto exchange to pay a $2.25 million fine for allegedly skirting the country's anti-money laundering regulations. The FIU's notice said that Binance failed to adhere to the country's Prevention of Money Laundering Act as required by companies operating as virtual digital asset service providers. Of course, Binance faced similar allegations here in the US when it was ordered to pay more than $4 billion for its role in sanctions violations and money laundering. We reached out to Binance about this penalty, and a spokesperson told us the crypto company is reviewing the FIU's order to determine next steps and hopes to work with the regulator as a reporting entity in an effort to re-enter the Indian market. Binance was barred from operating in the country back in January. Next, Consensus says that the SEC has closed its investigation into Ethereum 2.0 and the firm itself. In a blog post, the crypto company said the SEC notified its lawyer of the shuttered investigation and that the agency would not pursue enforcement action against the company. Now, this follows a Wells notice the company says it received from the SEC back in April, along with a lawsuit filed by Consensus alleging regulatory overreach from the regulator. The lawsuit indicated the SEC had its sights on the firm's MetaMask swaps and MetaMask staking products, alleging they violated federal securities laws. A Consensus spokesperson said the company is gratified by the regulator's decision and went on to say, quote, "It is imperative that the SEC abandon its unprincipled and opaque regulation by enforcement campaign in favor of much-needed regulatory clarity for an industry that serves as the backbone to countless new technologies and innovations." We reached out to the SEC, and a spokesperson told us it does not comment on the existence or non-existence of a possible investigation. Last, Kraken says third-party security researchers found a vulnerability on the platform, which was fixed by the crypto exchange. In a series of posts yesterday, Kraken's chief security officer, Nick Percoco, said that the researchers secretly withdrew nearly $3 million and refused to give it back without seeing a bounty amount first. He stressed that the withdrawals were from Kraken's treasuries and not client assets. Percoco said Kraken received a bug bounty program alert from a security researcher on June 9th, adding that the email claimed to find an extremely critical bug that allowed them to artificially inflate their balance on the platform. He wrote that within minutes, Kraken discovered an isolated bug, which allowed an attacker to initiate a deposit onto the platform and receive funds in their account without fully completing the deposit. He said in under 2 hours, Kraken's team of experts mitigated the issue. Now, this morning, Percoco wrote an update on X, noting that the funds have been returned, minus a, quote, small amount lost to fees. Now, in other news related to Kraken, CEO Dave Ripley joined CNBC's Squawk Box this morning, the same day oral arguments for the motion to dismiss the SEC's case against the crypto exchange took place. Ripley explained that the company's motion to dismiss is basically Kraken's argument that the case shouldn't even go to trial. Back in November, the SEC charged Kraken for allegedly operating as an unregistered securities exchange.
We serve markets all across the world. Europe, UK, Canada, Australia, US are our major markets, and we're active in all of those other markets, and pretty much every single one of them has gone to a place where they've put in some reasonable set of regulations. And we contrast that to here in the US, basically a rogue regulator pursuing this path of regulation by enforcement. And meanwhile, we have Congress actually trying to pass bills to put something in place that's meaningful and appropriate.
Now, Ripley was also asked what he would like to see from Congress when it comes to crypto regulation and what agency he would like to regulate the industry.
Right now, there's a bill that actually just passed the House with solid bipartisan support, 279 votes, I believe, the Fit 21 bill. And that actually puts forth a structure where both the CFTC and the SEC would regulate depending on the digital assets. So, for the most part, many of the digital assets would actually come under the purview of the CFTC.
All right, for our main story, the digital asset industry is playing a bigger and bigger role in Washington. And CNBC's Emily Wilkins takes a look at how crypto super PACs are hoping to influence policymaking on both sides of the aisle.
Crypto companies are banding together to be a force in the 2024 election, and they are already influencing Capitol Hill. In the past month, Coinbase, Ripple, and Andreessen Horowitz have all donated to fairshake PAC, the fourth largest political action committee playing in 2024, currently according to Open Secrets. The group raised $160 million by the end of May, and more than 1 million people have signed up to be crypto advocates with the nonprofit Stand with Crypto. Coinbase Chief Policy Officer Faryar Shahzad said the grassroots movement is a wake-up call for lawmakers who thought their constituents didn't care about blockchain.
We made a funny realization, which was that the only way we were going to get the politics out of crypto was to build a political operation that leveled the playing field and allowed the tens of millions of Americans who own crypto to be a part of the process.
Fairshake isn't planning to play in the presidential election, but adopting a bipartisan focus on House and Senate races. Fairshake and two affiliated PACs have spent over $37 million on ads in the primaries, according to Ad Impact. And that includes the California Senate race, where Fairshake ran ads against Katie Porter, who ultimately lost to the more pro-crypto candidate Adam Schiff. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse said now is a defining moment for crypto, and his group and others are working to play catch-up in D.C.
This is an industry that has been behind in Washington and really been on the defensive from some, I think, uneducated and sometimes intentionally or not, I'm not sure, but really those who are trying to kill crypto in the United States at a time when we want the U.S. to be one of the financial centers of this next generation technology.
Pro-crypto candidates are running in at least 2 states that will determine which party controls the Senate next year. In Ohio, Senate Banking Chairman Sherrod Brown, who has been skeptical of crypto, is facing off against Republican Bernie Moreno, who founded a blockchain startup. And in Montana, Republican challenger Tim Sheehy praised crypto for representing the future of finance and the internet, while Senator Jon Tester told Meet the Press in 2022 that crypto doesn't pass the smell test. Yet lately, Tester seems to be changing his mind. He voted to overturn SEC guidance on crypto in a move that was praised by the industry. And he told me that he's looking at a couple of crypto bills and called it 21st century stuff.
Now, one thing people are watching closely is just how much crypto matters to voters, especially in comparison to issues like abortion or the economy, which has gotten them to the polls in the past.
When we see polls about what issues voters most care about, crypto never really shows up in any of the top ones. But what Stand With Crypto as well as Fairshake PAC are kind of hoping to do is to say, hey, there is a group that cares about it. They do want to be taken seriously. They do want to have a more coordinated message than maybe what we saw with previous elections. And previously in 2022 with the midterms, it was Sam Bankman-Fried who made a lot of headlines with his donations and his giving. And I think now a lot of the folks with crypto, with Ripple, with Coinbase, with Andreessen Horowitz, they want to present a little bit more as adults in the room, as folks who aren't, sort of part of the wild west of crypto, but rather have a coordinated message and a coordinated plan about the importance that crypto can play in the financial system.
And at the same time, we're still waiting to see if major crypto legislation moves forward on Capitol Hill. The Fit for the 21st Century Act, that regulatory framework for crypto, is waiting on a vote from the Senate. The question is whether Congress can make progress on that or any other crypto bills before this current term ends.
So we know that Senator Debbie Stabenow is working on updating her 2022 bill that dealt with crypto and the CFTC ability to regulate that. We know that she is working with John Bozeman, and we know that some crypto executives were on the Hill last week, and they met with Stabenow, they met with Bozeman, they met with McConnell and Schumer and other leaders. And it gives a sense that there is a focus on this. There is an effort to try and get it done. Of course, time is of the essence at the moment. I mean, you're going to see lawmakers lawmakers come back for a bit in July, but then they're out in August. And once they get back, it is really pivoting towards the election. But at the same point, if lawmakers think that crypto could have some influence on voters in some of these really key races, then it might behoove lawmakers to actually be able to put some of these crypto bills on the floor and take some votes.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.